Forgetti Spaghetti by Jinks, illustrated by Romana Bruno. White Band. Chapter 1. Watch out! Meg stepped out of the tray. Her dad whisked past with a tray full of plates for the hungry customers. I can help, Meg said. That's okay, I'm fine, her dad said. Meg went into the kitchen. Her mom was stirring a pot with one hand while putting a pie in the oven with the other. I can help, Meg said. That's okay, I'm fine, her mom said. Meg sighed. She wished her parents would let her help, but they thought she was too clumsy. But Meg wasn't clumsy. That time that she had ended up face first in an apple pie was an accident. It wasn't her fault. Meg backed out of the kitchen just as her dad was coming in with a tray full of dirty plates. She stepped on his foot. Ow! Dad howled and grabbed his foot. The tray went flying. Mom dived across the kitchen and caught the tray and the plates just in time. Oops, Meg said. Sorry. Dad hopped to a stool. I can't walk, Dad said. I've got a diner full of hungry customers. What am I going to do? I can help. I promise I can do it. Meg pleased it. Dad looked at the mom, and Mom looked at Dad. Please, Meg begged, giving them the biggest smile. Okay, Mom said, but only until your dad is better. Meg shut the door before they could change their minds. Chapter 2. Meg was doing surprisingly well. It was nearly closing time and she hadn't had one accident. Good job today, Mom said as Meg picked up the last 2 trays. Meg skipped away with happiness, but then disaster struck. Her apron got caught on the chair. The tray of milkshakes began to topple. Meg tried to save it, forgetting the tray of burgers in her other hand. Milkshakes flew in one direction as burgers shot off in the other. There was no way Meg could save both. Crash! A burger landed in someone's lap and chips rained down on people's heads. Splat! One milkshake landed in someone's bag, and the other slopped all over the walls. Whoa! Meg cried, getting tangled up in her apron strings. She fell over, sending a man's wig flying through the air. Meg watched it fly across the dinner, landing right in the toaster. Everyone fell silent. Then, pop! The burned wig popped out of the toaster and landed smoking on the counter. Meg ran out of the dinner. Chapter 3. Meg sat outside with her head in her hands. She had made such a mess. Her parents would never let her help in the diner again. She wished everyone could just forget that today ever happened. Just then a delivery van arrived. The driver jumped out and started lifting crates of food out of the van. Some bits are missing, I'm afraid, he said, so I've popped in something special that you might find useful. He put a bag down next to the crates of food and gave Meg a wink. Then he jumped back the van and drove away. Meg peered into the bag. There was a large jar of spaghetti and a tub of ice cream. That's a bit odd, Meg thought, and pulling out of the spaghetti. Some about the label caught her eye. Forgetti spaghetti. Having a day you'd rather forget. Just one taste of Forgetti spaghetti will help you forget all about your troubles. Warning, eating too much can cause serious memory loss. Just a bit will do. Forgetti spaghetti, thought Meg. This might make her parents forget this awful day. She could have a second chance to prove herself. Meg ran upstairs to their flat to get started on dinner. When Meg's mom and dad came upstairs, Meg was just finishing serving dinner. Something smells nice, said Mom. Meg put big bowls of spaghetti down in front of her parents, with some of the Forgetti spaghetti added on top, of course. Let's just forget about it, her dad said with a tired sigh. That's the plan, thought Meg, as she watched her parents tuck in. With any luck, her disaster of a day would soon be forgotten. Chapter 4. The next morning, when Meg got up, Mom and Dad were already in their diner, preparing for the day. Everything was clean and tidy, and yesterday's mess was wiped up away. Meg just hoped it was all wiped for her parents' memories too. Her dad was still hobbling slightly. I could help out in the diner today so you can resist your foot, Meg suggested hopefully. Mom looked at Dad, and Dad looked at Mom. Please, said Meg. I'll be super careful. Well, okay, Mom said, but only until your dad's foot is better. I just wish I could remember what I've done to it, her dad said. Meg jumped for joy. The Forgetti spaghetti really worked. Meg and her second chance, and this time nothing was going to mess it up. Everything was going perfectly. Meg was being super careful. She slowly put 2 big bowls of spaghetti down on the table. Spaghetti? That's strange! Meg thought. She had a horrible feeling in the pit of her stomach. She went into the kitchen. You don't usually make spaghetti, Meg said to Mom. We didn't get any burgers in the delivery yesterday, but I found big pots of spaghetti upstairs. I think everyone is joining it, don't you? Oh no, thought Meg. It can't be. And then she sighed. There on the side was the jar of spaghetti. It was completely empty. Chapter 5. Meg went back out of the diner, where everything was tucked in her huge bowls of spaghetti. This was awful. Or was it? Surely it wouldn't matter if everyone forgot just one day, would it? A customer tapped on Meg on the arm. Excuse me, the man said. Where am I? You're at the diner, Meg said, frowning. The spaghetti was working fast. Oh my God, and just one morning, he said. Who am I? Meg froze. This was worse than she thought. Much worse. They were eating too much spaghetti. They weren't just forgetting one day. They were forgetting everything that they even know. This was a disaster. Meg had to find a way to stop everyone from eating, and there was only one way that Meg could think. She was about to make the biggest spaghetti of her life. Meg pretended to trip and threw herself at the nearest table. Whoops, she said as she sent bowls of spaghetti flying. Let me clean that up, she said, swiping more bowls onto the floor. Oh dear, Meg cried, skidding on some spaghetti and landing headfirst in another plate. I'll get you something else, she said as she put her hands in another 2 bowls. Soon there were no plates left on any tables. There was spaghetti on the ceiling, on the floor, and in people's hair. At least nobody was eating anymore. No. But there was still one problem. The dinner was full of people with no memory. There had to be someone who knew how to fix it. Maybe the delivery company would know what to do. Meg rushed to the phone and dialed their number, but the delivery company were no use. They said they didn't even sell spaghetti. So who had given it to her? Meg ran into the kitchen to look for clues. Thankfully, Mom was being cooked with the radio on full volume. She didn't notice Meg. Meg searched the cupboards, the fridge, and the freezer. There was no noticing else unusual. But then she saw it, the ice cream tube. It had been in the bag. With the spaghetti, she pulled out the tub and read the label. Brain freeze ice cream. Immediately freezes the effects of any mind spell. Warning, eating too much may permanently freeze your mind. This was it. This could fix everyone's memories. Chapter 6. Freeze ice cream! Meg shouted, walking around the diner with the tube and the stack of bowls. Freeze ice cream for everyone! Do I like ice cream? One customer asked. What is ice cream? Asked another. Try it, Meg said. She was carefully to only put a little bit in each bowl. The customers couldn't even reminding how to use a spoon, but they could. But they scooped the ice cream up with their fingers and slurped up like animals. Meg watched and waited. Everyone began to look like they were walking for a dream. What am I doing? Asked a woman who looked very embarrassed to be sitting in the middle of a table. A man was pulling a bowl off his head, looking very confused. What on earth has been going on here? Came her dad's voice, hobbling into the dinner after hearing all the commotion. Meg took a deep breath. She was about to make an exercise, but trying to cover up her mistakes was what got her in this mess in the first place. I'm sorry, Dad. I tried to help again, but it all got out of control. I ended up making a mess again, Meg said, starting to clean up. Dad said, never mind, he said. Clean the diner and we can talk about it later. Meg knew her parents probably wouldn't let her help out again for a long time, but she had learned not to bite off more than she could chew, and was a lesson she would never forget. The end.